You know, every single time you pop a pill for a headache or marvel at some crazy new industrial breakthrough, you're actually relying on a scientific framework built by one brilliant mind. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into the incredible life of Jabir Ibn Hayyan, the undisputed architect of modern chemistry.
Now, I know it sounds kind of impossible, right? But the modern world of science you and I rely on every day, everything from cutting-edge medicines to massive global industrial chemistry, was actually set in motion over 1,200 years ago. Yep, by an 8th century scholar. We're talking about a true visionary here. A guy who looked at the super mysterious, highly secretive world of alchemy and just completely flipped it on its head, turning it into a rigorous, scientific revolution.
Section 1. Roots of Modern Chemistry, the Spark of the Islamic Golden Age.
So, to really grasp his impact, we've got to travel all the way back to 721 CE. Jabir was born right into this era of massive intellectual upheaval, basically at the absolute dawn of the Islamic Golden Age. He grew up studying in cities like Tus and Kufa, that's in present-day Iran and Iraq, during this wild time when ancient knowledge from Greece, Persia, and India was all converging. It was this explosive melting pot of ideas. And from a really early age, Jabir just had this intense curiosity. He didn't just want to read about how materials changed. No, he wanted tangible, hard proof.
Section 2. From Alchemy to Science, a Paradigm Shift.
Okay, picture this. Jabir was born into a world totally dominated by alchemy. We're talking a chaotic mix of mysticism and pure speculation where people were literally trying to magically turn ordinary metals into gold. But Jabir, he demanded something completely different. He demanded chemistry. He took all that magical guesswork and replaced it with systematic experimentation. He carefully recorded his results, thoroughly analyzed the outcomes, and, most importantly, demanded rigorous proof. He was pretty much single-handedly dragging human understanding out of the shadows and into the light of actual, bona fide science.
His whole philosophy really boiled down to one revolutionary idea. Books could provide knowledge, but experiments could reveal truth. Now, I know that sounds like standard common sense to us today, but back then, it was deeply, deeply radical. He flat out refused to just blindly accept ancient texts. If someone claimed something was true, Jabir believed it had to be verifiable in the real world through direct, undeniable observation.
Section 3. Pioneering the Modern Laboratory, Bringing Order to Chaos.
Just imagine walking into his workspace 1,200 years ago. You'd see glass vessels lining the shelves, liquids bubbling away over controlled heat, and meticulous notes being rapidly jotted down. He wasn't just mixing potions in the dark, you guys. He was actually establishing the absolute laws of the modern laboratory. He championed unyielding precision, stressed careful observation, demanded rigorous documentation, and insisted that all claims be tested through repeated experiments. Honestly, if you walk into a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical research lab today, they are operating on the exact same mindset Jabir initiated.
And he didn't just invent abstract theories either. He developed the tangible, physical techniques you actually need to isolate and understand matter. He basically created a standardized toolkit for analysis. We're talking about refining processes like crystallization, evaporation, sublimation, and filtration. These are literally the absolute fundamentals of chemistry. And here we are, more than 12 centuries later, and scientists are still utilizing the core physical procedures he helped standardize. How wild is that?
Take distillation, for instance. By purifying substances through heating and cooling using radically improved glass equipment, like the alembic which he heavily refined, he laid the groundwork for modern manufacturing, medicine, and research. Every single time a modern industry purifies a chemical or refines a liquid, they are essentially walking right in Jabir's footsteps.
Section 4. Classifying the natural world, creating a scientific language. While Jabir knew that before you can truly study nature, you've got to organize it. To strip the mystery away from matter, he categorized incredibly potent substances like nitric and hydrochloric acid based purely on their physical behavior. He rigorously classified minerals, metals, and salts by their specific characteristics and exactly how they reacted under pressure. He was bringing order to totally chaotic confusion, essentially authoring the very scientific language that later chemists would use to decode the world.
And when this new science of classification was applied to healthcare, it changed absolutely everything. Jabir proved that safe, effective medicine required completely accurate measurements, proper, repeatable procedures, and absolute purification of pharmaceutical ingredients. He understood that when lives are on the line, you simply cannot rely on guessing. The massive, life-saving pharmaceutical industries we have today are built directly on this vital connection he made between chemistry and medicine. Section 5. A legacy-changing modern science. The Geber phenomenon.
So, Jabir was an incredibly prolific writer, and centuries later, his translated texts sparked an absolute sensation in medieval Europe. Under the Latinized name Geber, he essentially became a scientific rock star. His books were heavily studied in universities, and his techniques were eagerly adopted in labs all across the continent. He was the ultimate chemical authority for generations of European scholars. Knowledge became this incredible bridge connecting the world, and Jabir stood right at the dead center of that global exchange.
He truly earned the title of the father of chemistry by replacing wild speculation with hard, cold experimentation, refining timeless lab techniques, and inspiring a global search for evidence. Well, his impact was just monumental. His insistence on undeniable proof completely transformed chemistry from a secretive, mystical art into a rigorous global scientific discipline. Pretty much every university and research center operating today stands right on the principles he relentlessly championed. So, as we wrap up this explainer, take a moment to look around your world. Every great scientific revolution has a beginning. The next time you hear about a new medicine or some massive chemical breakthrough, will you see the 1,200-year-old science behind it? By questioning accepted ideas and demanding actual evidence, Jabir laid the foundations for a science that literally reshaped our reality. Keep questioning, keep observing, and hey, thank you for joining me as we explored this fascinating history.